Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name's Ken Rethmeier, the host of this podcast, Leading for Value. And I have a special guest today, Mr. Tom Gibbs. Tom and I met through Story Hill Presbyterian Church, and he has a very interesting leadership history. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But I'm going to share the screen and walk through the foundation for this particular session and why it's important to do that. And to that point, this is the third episode. I've had two others with leaders that I've met along the way. And the title of these are The Deeper Dimensions of Being a Leader. And as leaders know, in a variety of environments and circumstances, we have different competencies that we have to lean on and hope that engage to be successful. And as you can see, the podcast guest today, Tom Gibbs, is a principal, one of four principals at Landmark Construction. And you see the logo, and it really caught my attention because we build confidence, and that's critical. So the foundation for today's discussion is a model that I created over many, many years. And the stimulus was the artist Degas. And the artist Degas said, as an artist, it's not what I can see, but what I can help others to see. And that has to do with capacity in organizations, and that's the vision. And I add to that capability, which is the learning posture of the organization, the skills and technologies that they have. And then when those are highly correlated, they drive a very positive influence on building the confidence of the organization to achieve the vision, values, goals, and objectives that they have set forth. So I modified that slightly by saying it's all about see, believe, and achieve. And for leaders, the key issue is you have to add value every way, every day, on target, on time, without fail. And that's critical. So today we're going to be blessed to have Tom's experience. You can see the various industries that his organization has been involved in. And you can imagine there's a whole variety of different kind of leaders and characters that he has engaged with. And then he was home based in Winston-Salem with other offices, I think total of four in the Southeast area, and most of their projects were in Southeastern the United States. But Tom also had the opportunity to do some engagement in the Caribbean, which he may mention during his time. So Tom's leadership history and his encounters with other leaders and their key competencies for success and always adding value. And so let's get started. We'll stop sharing the screen and now officially welcome Tom to this podcast. Tom, if you get a couple of minutes, provide an overview of your careers and the leadership roles you've had.
Well, thanks, Ken, and I appreciate the opportunity to sit and chat with you today. Over the course of my career in construction, I've started as a project manager, which basically had single or multiple project responsibilities, to project executive, to director of operations, to a principal. I retired several years ago as executive vice president with Landmark Builders. I was one of the principals at the company, and over the course of my career, I was both responsible for people and projects. So it was very typical for the construction industry. I loved your opening, because one of the things that we preached at Landmark was deliver what you promise. Under promise, over deliver. Deliver on time, those are critical components. And I was very fortunate when I started at Landmark in 2000. We moved from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, up to North Carolina, and I went to work. And I had the management team, the leadership team, consisted of 4 other individuals, and one was the president of the company, and he was a very understated leader, but there were 5 components of leadership that I wouldn't necessarily say that he verbally told you what they were, but when the underlying tone was there, and that was communication. He firmly believed in sharing all information, being an active listener, and ensuring everybody understood what he wanted to do. And that is one component of leadership that I took and I preached and pushed downstream from there. The second, because construction is a transactional business, accountability is incredible, and that's everybody taking responsibility for their actions, the results, and the commitments. And the leader does not take credit for the wins; they take credit for the losses. And you make sure everybody is accountable, and that's not just the folks that reported to me or within a project or a group, but also our subcontractors. So that portion of that component of leadership was incredibly important. The third component that I took from Rusty was adaptability. Our business is an ever-changing, ever-evolving business. Economies change. You have to pivot, pretty quick. COVID was a great example. We had to pivot at COVID. We were an essential business, but no one was working, and no one was. It was hard getting materials, so we had to pivot. So we had to be very adaptable. Team building. That is one part. Working at Landmark, I just felt like we did as a company. We did a great job of building our team. We had an average tenure with our company of 20 years, 20 plus years for our superintendents, which is unheard of in the construction industry. It's a very nomadic business. People come and go all the time. They find a different job. They want to go try something new. But we were able to retain people just because we did a great job of building the team. And last, and probably not the last piece, was a vision and inspiration. You had to be able to create a compelling direction and motivate others to achieve a shared goal. And I think we did a great job of that. I think not only I tried to share the vision of the company. The person below me did a great job. We all the way down to our subcontractors. Our subcontractors knew what we expected of them. They actually knew what we expected of ourselves. So I think those are 5 leadership competencies that stood out the most over my career. And interestingly, my wife was in legal education, and I was thinking about some of the deans that she worked with, and those 5 competencies transferred to legal education as well. And I'm sure it does in just about anything else. But the two of the best deans she ever worked with were very much accountable, held everybody accountable, including themselves, but they had great vision. They were able to communicate that vision, so everybody knew where they wanted to go, what direction they wanted the school to go. So I think, over the course of a 30 plus year career, those 5 competencies are really important to me. I mean, they're certainly many more, but those I tried to make sure I incorporated in my daily activities and in my leadership activities.
So, yeah, I find those very interesting because they are characteristic of what I have seen in my own experience
Mhm.
as a leader, my teaching career in leadership development, and my consulting practice over the years. And so the five paraphrased uh, words are listen, accountability, adaptability and change, team building, vision, and inspiration.
Yes.
And that tells me a lot about how you and the others in your organization and the key leaders set the tone for the entire organization. And so as a consequence, if I use the old Disney model of on stage, off stage, when you're out working with the group, you're on stage. And so to your point where you were able, and I'll use the phrase, do the elevator speech about the vision, the values, and where we want to go with the organization and the projects you were doing, those people that worked with you, and that measure of 20 years of average time frame for supervisors in construction. And I, consulted with a mechanical services company in the oil industry, and they had about the same, but that was only because of the quality of the leadership.
Right.
And as you know, those are the kinds of things that when that happens, it builds trust, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I can imagine the trust was a key element in your success.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the positive for us was the fact that that trust and the confidence, as we said, we build confidence. Most of our business was repeat business. We
Mhm.
weren't a bid contractor, and that was really because people trusted us. We did what we said we were going to do. When I first started at Landmark, one of the principals, Steve Stevens, he's one of the sons of the founder, and we had Steve asked me to go to a project and look. There was a problem, and this was an old project. So I went and looked at it, and there was some foundation crack. And I went back to the office, and I was new at Landmark, so I diligently put together what I thought was a reasonable repair and cost. And this was not an inexpensive problem.
Mhm.
And I asked Steve if he would take a look at it with me. So he went back over and we looked at it, and he looked at me and he said, "Who created the problem, do you think?" And I said, "Well, honestly, I think it's a straight problem, the subgrade. We didn't prepare the subgrade properly, and that probably lent itself to the cracking of the foundation." And he said, "I agree." He said, "So let's fix it." So I said, "Okay, that's great. We'll fix it. Here's how much it's going to cost." And he said, "No, we're going to fix it. And we're not going to charge them because we're going to do the right thing." And they trusted us to do their project, and they trusted us to do the project well. And we did. And that stuck with me. And that was I've told that story countless times because it is, to your point, it is trust. People, and you want your customers to trust you. You want your employees certainly to trust you because you're family, and you not only have an employee, but you have an employee and maybe a spouse and probably kids. And, so you have the responsibility of all those people. And if they don't trust you, you really don't have much. So I think that is absolutely a key component.
And I think having heard that, one of the other words that caught my attention big time was accountability.
Yes.
And I can tell you that in my book, I go back at one point and describe sort of the historical picture of what leadership was, three components. Authority, that means your rank, your position in the organization. Responsibility, the scope of your work and the part that you're responsible for. But most importantly is accountability. And
Yes.
of those three, my experience has been, and I'm guessing you've seen the same, where organizations fail to live up to their expectations, and the expectations of the people they're serving. It's because they don't demonstrate the accountability for what they do. Is
Absolutely.
that pretty accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've I've talked to our construction teams, over the years, every once a month would have meetings, and without a doubt, accountability was
Yeah,
a big part of it, because you want everybody to understand that we all take responsibility for our actions. If we win, we win. It's not me win.
right.
It's a we win. So yeah, I think accountability is it probably, if I had to rank everything for me personally, I think accountability is at the top of the pyramid, just because, to your point, I mean, if you can't do what you say you're going to do and deliver it, in a timely fashion on budget, you're like everybody else, and it doesn't separate yourself from the rest of the group.
Yeah, because I can remember when I was on active duty in the United States Navy in my career and seeing a lot of people who made flag rank, admiral rank, we used to say that leadership in the military was delivering ordnance on target, on time, every time without fail.
Yes,
And one failure costs you big time. And I think the other piece that you mentioned, the story about um, we're gonna fix it, but we're not gonna charge them. And that's a very much of a giving orientation that says we're here to serve you, and our job is to meet your expectations. And if we can, and we don't, we're going to do it the right way to make it right. Is that?
exactly. That is exactly correct.
And I'm
Exactly.
guessing that you probably saw many of these same competencies in your international experience of going down and checking on projects down in the Caribbean. And you saw leaders down there. Were
Yeah.
they pretty much the same?
In South Florida, the leadership group was very much the same. We wanted everybody to do the right thing. Um, it's interesting. I don't think I've ever been with a company or experienced a company that succeeded that didn't do what they said they were going to do. I mean, I'm partial to Landmark. I think they did a great job, but I think there are a number of companies, and certainly the company I work with in South Florida did the same, as I said. But I think, in order to be successful in this business, you have to stand behind your work, and you have to let them know that it's not a punishment, but it's your responsibility, and you accept that, and you want to do the right thing because you want to fulfill your obligation.
And I'm sure you probably saw many of these same characteristics in the leadership you ran into down in the Caribbean, Antigua, and some of St. Thomas and some of the other areas. Was that
Yeah,
accurate?
yeah, very much. I mean, I think strong leaders, that they have the same core competencies. I mean, bad leaders don't. We've seen bad leaders all throughout time. I mean, good leaders, strong leaders, follow these same basic principles. Yes.
Yeah. And to that point, and I'm glad you mentioned that because leadership, it's interesting. There's been an article recently in the Wall Street Journal, and it was editorial saying that watch out, there's going to be some new things for leaders that they're going to have to do. And I read it and I said, no, the historical value of leadership hasn't changed.
Exactly.
The competencies are the same. The behaviors may be different depending upon the industry you're in and the kind of work you do, but they're still there.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that's an appropriate article.
And I can tell you, I really appreciate your time today, Tom.
Absolutely.
And the audience should really pay attention to some of the observations that you made. And I can tell people that Tom Gibbs is a giving person. He believes in what he does, And when you believe in what you do, as a leader, you manifest the very best of those competencies and behaviors. And Tom Gibbs is one of those guys that I've had the pleasure of meeting and being around to learn from him. And Tom, thank you so very much for your time today. We'll call it a close for now, but there
Yep,
may be a future time when we get back together again online. Okay?
absolutely. Ken, I appreciate the time. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll sign off for now.
Very good.